Thank you guys for having me. My name is Santiago Palomino. I am one of the regional organizing directors for Michael Bloomberg in Texas. And yeah, I have some history working on the Beto's presidential and senatorial race as well, and a couple other campaigns behind that. But we're really excited to have this conversation today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a crucial conversation to have, especially for 2020, how we're going to look at our new targeted groups and the conversation that we're going to have at the doors, and also targeting these voters, right? And also investing in those communities. And it's not just Texas, it's also Georgia, it's also Iowa, it's also Arizona that we're looking at these things. I just got back from the ground in Iowa, and it was really neat to see how local parties were not just doing, posters and whatnot. They were putting these advertisements for these events in Latinx newspapers and radio and TV. And I think that's something that we're seeing parties are starting to learn, that you can't just, talk about one issue when it comes to an entire demographic or community. You have to talk about all the issues at the dinner table, right? And I'm going to add on to the bringing everyone into that circle and making sure that their voice is heard. I think that's something that's crucial. And also having those voices being seen on TV and from those communities, not just here in DC, but back at home, wherever that may be across this country. And I think that's another way we can grab people's attention and, see ratings go up as well. Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, I would like to add to all that. I think those were great points. And to piggyback off of what you're talking about, it's not going to be in the future. It's happening right now. If you go on TikTok and you make your own TikTok account, which I suggest you all do just to see what these kids are doing.
I just did.
Yeah. So they're creating history lessons, and they're bringing up World War III memes, and they're talking about what is happening with the impeachment process. They're talking about what's happening in the White House. They're talking about local races as well, and it's gaining traction right here and right now. And it is definitely, it's not the future, it's happening right now. And if we start to, in this room, start to pick up on that and be able to see where the trends are heading into this election and future ones, I think we'll be able to create the products that we want to bring out to people, and also get a feel of what's really going on and where the traction is. So yeah, Twitter and Facebook is important, but we're starting to look into new platforms such as TikTok, and it's really starting to launch. Yeah.
So on that note,
so the short answer is yes to your question. It is going to hurt minority groups, and that is because predominantly they're working class people that don't have time to sit there and Google and research. They're bringing their kids to school. They are working 3 jobs, and they're not good jobs. And so it's a lot of stress, and the quickest way to find that information is through Facebook sponsors, or the ads that we're seeing on Facebook or whatnot, to find Michael Bloomberg or whoever it may be.
Facebook's still
no, and
accepting,
it's not.
But YouTube is huge with with Latinos,
and so it's a big punch. And so then it goes back to, you're going to have to get more creative and create content that people are actually going to want to share and look at and turn heads and be like, oh, okay, this guy kind of seems cool, or this guy kind of seems cool. So that's
relying more on actual organic and the content, the quality of the content, which is storytelling, exactly.
Because they don't have time, or they can't afford to sit down and watch on CNN. It's just the truth. So
let's talk a little bit about campaign or your communities to invest just as importantly as a general market, or keep it part of this general strategy, not just an afterthought.
Santiago, you want to take it? Yeah.
So that's actually a really great question. I am proud to say that I work on a campaign that actually prioritizes these things, and not just in Spanish, but in other languages as well. We're looking into and making sure that we're expanding those resources. But when we're talking about limited money, it does seem like it is an afterthought when it comes to putting in, Spanish resources or other resources and advertising in those languages as well. And something that we haven't spoken about today is the AAPI community. And I have great colleagues that have been working on this kind of work at the Texas Democratic Party and other places. And it is something that we should also highlight here, is that there's also those groups of people as well that are growing quickly and are really getting involved in this work. But when we're talking about those things, I think the quickest way to get that information is to print it out yourself, hand it door to door if you do have such a region where you need to invest in other languages and whatnot. And that is the easiest way to do it when you can't pay for that advertisement, or just create, the theme of the day is creating that content yourself. So that's a free way to do it and get it shared for free. Yeah. That's a good point. Very good points. No. Yeah, I am 100%.
Make sure you tell Bloomberg that. Yeah. Make sure he gets the memo.
So, actually, note to that, this is probably one of the only campaigns, local or the largest campaign that I've been a part of, and I'm very proud of it. We have a very, very, very diverse staff, and they're not lower level staff, which is also important because in other senatorial and presidential, a lot of the organizing staff predominantly is white. And I'm pretty sure many members of the media know that already. But it has really dawned on me these last couple weeks being on this campaign is that we're not just lower level, we're also in the leadership, we're also at the table having these conversations and pulling community members and leaders from all these different communities into this conversation and opening up a new campaign that I've never, frankly, seen before. We've always scrambled at the end to bring in these new marginalized groups and new communities and whatnot, and I think this is the first time I've ever been a part of something that looks like the communities, not just in Texas, but in this country, and that is something that is extremely empowering and shows the kind of commitment that I see in my presidential candidate, and a big red flag for other presidential candidates because I haven't seen that there. And so just moving on from that, I think it comes down to one thing, which is trust. I think in our communities, there's just a lack of trust. There's a lot of promises, a lot of promise campaigns, and we're not seeing the actual results. And there's a lot of just reliance on those voters. And that also goes to the white community too for the Republican Party. We're not seeing results, period, in this country for anybody. And that's not okay anymore, except for but moving on from that, it also starts in televised networks as well. It also starts in businesses and whatnot, is who are you hiring? Do they look like the communities of this country? And, most of the time it's no. Most of the time it is no for our own companies, for our own media outlets and our campaigns. And this is the first organization that I've been a part of that I can say otherwise. And that has me excited for 2020.
Thank you. We went over